Hey everybody, it's just Kristen Chavis. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome child. And if you're a returning subscriber, I'm so glad that you are back here with me on today. Alright y'all, let's get into it.
It's another one for real. K Chavis, I call you for real because you the truth.
Okay guys, so today I just want to share a few dreams that I've had with you guys about flooding, and hopefully it'll help you understand when you see dreams about flooding what it may mean. Currently I live in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and right now at this very moment Ida has just made landfall, Hurricane Ida, and it is a category 4 category 5 storm, which is very, very serious. Just last year, exactly a year ago, we were hit here in Lake Charles with Hurricane Laura, and then 6 weeks later we were hit by Hurricane Delta, and we also had a tropical storm Beta that hit as well. So it's been a lot of crazy stuff happening here in Louisiana, and the storm is not coming here directly, but we may get like some remnants of everything that's happening. So keeping that in mind, starting a few weeks ago, I was having dreams about flooding, but it wasn't dreams that I was remembering when I woke up. It was dreams that were triggered when I was out and about. So sometimes you'll have dreams and you won't remember them, and then you see something and a piece of it comes back to mind. And this happened twice when I was out with my husband. I remembered dreams where we were driving around trying to find a street that was dry because most of the streets had water in them, and the water wasn't super high, but it was water that you probably didn't want to risk trying to drive your vehicle through because you didn't know the street levels. So I saw that twice, and I also saw the second one was there was water, like remnants of water on the street, like maybe the waters were receding a little bit. So I told my husband about that, and I'm like, I don't know why I keep having dreams about flooding, but you know, a part of me feels like, okay, something's about to go on. We've already had issues with flooding in Lake Charles, and I usually don't have dreams like this where I'm in Lake Charles driving around and seeing water like this. So I'm like, okay, Lord, are you trying to tell us that, you know, it's going to flood again and we need to get ready for some type of weather that's coming our way? So the next dream that I have is after I discovered like last week that Tennessee flooded, and it was just crazy. It's just a flash flooding, and my heart was really going out to them, and I was praying because of just seeing the devastation, and I was really blown away by them saying it flooded one day, and then the next day I saw it and it was dry, and I'm like, Lord, where's all the water? You know, so but I understand that can happen because that happened with us in Lake Charles in May. The city was covered, and then the next day it was dry, like nothing had ever happened, but the devastation was left, you know, in people's homes. So right after that, I have this dream that I'm standing like in this grass, and I look to my right, and I see this water that looks like the Tennessee water. It's like flash flood water. It's like really muddy and just really moving, and it's not coming my way, but I can see it. It's within walking distance, maybe 50 feet away from me, and I can see this water, and it looks pretty dangerous. And in the water I see this wave kind of raise up, right? And with this wave raising up, it reminded me of like a tidal wave, or in the news headline the lady was saying that it was like a tsunami coming at her, or like a tidal wave, because the water was moving so fast. It just rose up and just came their way. And I was like, okay. And a relative of mine, he's stationed here with the military. He helps with disaster relief. He was there, and basically I can't remember if he told me to come onto the pathway or I just knew to go to that pathway, but I literally just stepped over onto this pathway, semi-narrow pathway, a typical pathway people will walk on. It has enough room for bikers and stuff like that, and I can see the back of his head. He has a really low haircut, almost bald, but in this dream his hair was red and it was like a little short buzz cut. and I'm walking and I look back to see if the water is gonna overtake the road or the path that we were on, because it was really close and it looked like it was coming my way. It didn't, and we just kept heading up on this pathway. Okay, so the next dream that I have is my husband and I, we're driving out in Lake Charles, and I could see the water. I could see there was water on this exit, and we probably shouldn't drive that way. But he took that way anyways. But when he took the way, he noticed, like he stopped and noticed that it was water there. I noticed that the sun with the sky was like really beautiful. It was like a nice blue sunny day with a few clouds, and the reflection of the sky on the water made it look seamless, made it look like it wasn't any water there or there wasn't any danger, and it is, and it was. So because we had already took the ramp or whatever, like the exit ramp, we kind of had to go through the water anyways. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like super super high, but it's like going through water like that. You never know how deep it can get. You know, it looks okay until you get in it. So the dream where I saw the water to the right, the more I went into prayer and God began to show me things about what was going on. Okay, so Lake Charles is not too far from the Gulf of Mexico. And if my back is turned towards the Gulf, I can look northward, which is where people usually go to evacuate, northern. And that's the direction he and I were headed. To my right is Lafayette, New Orleans, Houma, all of those cities. And those are the cities that the eye of the hurricane is actually going through right now, that the hurricane is actually hitting, which is very close. And if you actually look at the map of the path of Hurricane Ida, she's hitting most of the bottom of Louisiana, and right in this little bitty space, just a step over, is Lake Charles. I kid you not, just a step over. And we're actually in the clear. Right now, it's still sunny here, and it's a little bit cloudy with a little bit of wind. It may rain, and it may cause a little bit of flooding, because it doesn't take much for Lake Charles to flood right now. But I understand from my dreams that it won't be like what I saw to the right of me. It may raise up, but we'll be able to get through it. To the right of me, I saw a lot of torrential rains and flooding and destruction, which didn't make me happy at all, which actually made my nerves kind of bad. But it also really is heartbreaking, because we've been through a storm before, and I would never want anybody to have to go through anything like that. Like, going through a storm is devastating, because when you go back to your home is not going to look the way that it used to when you left your home, your street, your city, all of that. And you have to deal with that depressing feeling and the weight of destruction, and looking at that and trying to go grocery shop, and the store you used to grocery shop at is no longer open, or the stores you used to frequent is no longer there. Like, that's what people have to deal with, on top of sharks being in the water, because right after the storm, you're gonna have scammers out there talking about they live here and they build this and build that, and they're gonna be charging people astronomical prices that people can't even afford. But because of the desperation that people are going through, people are going to pay those prices. They're going to get gypped. It's a big mess. It's a really big mess. And even though the wind and the rain may go, that's not the end of the storm. The rest that comes with the storm, the aftermath, is what people have to deal with, and that forever leaves a scar in your heart, on your brain, and it's traumatizing. So if you're gonna pray about that. If you're gonna look at the news to see what's going on, look at the news to see what's going on, so you'll know what to pray about. Not to just see the devastation and the flooding, because that is not cute. It's amazing to look at, because you're like, wow, that wasn't there before. But just know and understand, people got to see their homes in their city like that while they're hundreds of miles away, evacuated, and they're not sure when they're going to be able to go home. So keep that in mind. Another dream that I had was my husband and I we were walking through this area that looked, the best way I can describe it is like, it was like a drained pool area. Like, I remember everything being like a light blue around us, like a pool area, but you could walk through it and it was like grass and everything, but it was like different pockets and different pools, but you could see the outside of the metal portions, if that makes sense. And I knew it was a pool area because down the way I saw kids with towels and they were like getting out of whatever pool area that was up high. And it was dark outside, but there was enough light for us to see our path. So James and I are walking on this path or through this pool, drain pool area, and it may have been pump stations. That's what it reminds me of, like when you, if you ever seen like a water plant, they have like different pools of water that's being filtered and cleansed. That's what it reminds me of, but they were like way above my head. So we're walking through here and I kind of feel a little nervous because I don't know what's on the other end of where we're trying to go, and we know that there's people down there. So we go down to the end. It's like a wall and you have to climb up this wall. Remember, it's like a pool wall, so imagine a pool with no water in it. There's no step, there's nothing for me to grab on. My husband, he's able to get up there because he's tall. I try to push myself up, but I can feel in my arms that I don't have enough strength to lift myself up for some reason. Normally I would be able to do that, or just climb up the wall, or like you jump and you just lift yourself up. Well, it was this guy on the edge, his name was Josh, and he grabbed my hand and I had to counterbalance my weight with his weight and pull myself up. He helped me get up and I thanked him and everything. And there were 3 kids on the edge of this pool area, and my husband got kind of frustrated because this little girl, she looked like she was gonna fall in. So he started fussing at Josh about how he doesn't know how to take take care of kids or watch kids, because this little girl looked like she was gonna fall in. And that pretty much was the end of my dream. So yesterday I just had like a lot of nights and just was kind of anxious about what was going on and the things that I had been seeing. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm trying to pray and rightly divide this to make sure that I get this right, to make sure that I'm not making any assumptions, because I know I saw water, but then I saw that I was okay, but then I dreamed that we drove into some water. So all of these things were like swarming in my head, and I'm like, okay, do we need to leave? Do we not need to leave? I think we may need to evacuate just in case, because this thing could spin and come this way. What's going on? So I went into prayer. I had already journaled about the dream, but I had went into prayer again, and I just really felt like I just needed to pray. And I began to pray and intercede for people, and he began to show me the dreams, and he showed me that the reason why he was showing me the flooding, which you may end up seeing flooding somewhere in the near future, is to intercede. Is to intercede for my state, to intercede for people that's going through, because I've been through this before. And to know and to understand and be for those people in the spirit realm, to even pray against how bad this storm can get. Because the reason why the storms get so bad is because the Gulf is so warm, and I've experienced it for myself. If you go down to the Gulf at the Louisiana coast, the water is hot. It is like bathtub hot, and they'll show you on the news, it'll say that the surface temperature of the water is 88 to 90 degrees. Warm, extremely warm water. And storms love this, and that's why the storms go from being nothing to something big really fast, because the water is hot out there, baby. So he just had me praying about people, the people in the pool, the drained out pool. Of course, he didn't show it to me being in the water, but he was showing me people needing to be rescued. There's going to be people that's going to need to be rescued and can't pull themselves up. Pray for those people. Pray for the people that's out there serving and helping people and pulling them out the waters. It's people that they saw danger. Some people that saw danger coming, and some people that didn't think or take this storm serious and stayed behind and went into the water, or or stayed in the storm, right? Stayed in the storm, stayed there, did not evacuate, and now they have to deal with the consequences of not leaving. It's people that's gonna have to deal with that. So he had me interceding for all of that, interceding for Lake Charles, and even though we are a step over, praying that the rains and stuff don't destroy people's homes even further, praying that our city doesn't be succumb with lots of flood water. It may rain, but I'm praying that it's not devastating rain. So all of those things he was showing me was for me to intercede. So if you're dreaming about flooding, it's not necessarily for you to get on here and be like, oh yeah, the Lord sending me a dream and it's gonna flood and this city gonna flood and y'all need to be prepared. It's so you can pray. It's so you can intercede, and so that it's just a nudge for you to get into prayer. And when you get in prayer, God's going to show you more and reveal more to you about what's going on. You may be the only intercessor in your area. You may be the only intercessor in your state, effective intercessor in your state, effective intercessor in your region of the country. He's sending those dreams for a reason, for you to pray. Even if you're dreaming that your husband is driving, and maybe he's driving you in the water, he's driving you around, it's not necessarily that he's going to make some bad decisions or that he's not listening or anything like that. It's more so to show you that this is what God wants you to see and that you need to intercede and pray. It's so that it can wake up your eyes and be an alarm to say, okay, what's going on? Now, there are some dreams where you may dream that your husband or your spouse is driving, and it may be personal. It may be talking about that whatever that person is doing behind the wheel, this is an indication of your spiritual walk or how they're approaching life. It can have a double meaning. It also had a double meaning for me, but essentially at the root of it was for me to pray, was for me to intercede. And once I prayed and got all of that out of my spirit and prayed about everything that he was showing me, I had peace. Because most of that day, it was like it was a lot. It was a lot of pressure. I was nervous for everybody. And it was a serious moment. It's still very serious. It's not over. It's still going up towards Tennessee, where the people that already experienced the floods just last week will experience more rain. So I had to intercede about that. I had to pray about that. Pray about people's minds and their strength, and sending resources and sending help, and people not just being onlookers or standby people, but actually putting their hands to the plow and doing the work. So these are the dreams that I had about flooding. You guys be in prayer for Louisiana, be in prayer for Mississippi, be in prayer for every state that's in the path or the lineup of Hurricane Ida. Just because it hits a coastal state does not mean that that hurricane is over with. If it hits the coast at a 4 or a 5, it's still gonna be a category 3, 2, 1 on land. That's how ferocious this storm is, that it can still damage as it's going up. Okay, so pray about that. I love you guys. If you are in the path of the storm, know that I'm here for you. I'm praying for y'all. I love y'all. Y'all be blessed. If you need any help with the dream or anything like that, you can hit me up anyway via the description box. And if you send a dream, make sure you just send me a DM or something, let me know that you got the dream. I love y'all. This is just Kristen Chavis. I hope you guys were blessed by this video, and make sure you tune in to my ASMR videos. Tune in to Auntie Franny and get you a Franny candy box, baby, because they are good and those Kool-Aid pickles are hidden. All right, y'all. Bye-bye.